Welcome everyone to another episode of Creath and Creatives. We have our very first digital artist, and his name is Mr.
Kiel, Orji.
We're excited to have you.
Thank you so
I
much.
feel like I'm going to get a whole different perspective, from the digital side of things.
Don't worry, ask away. I'll give you what I know.
I know you will. So let's start from how did it begin from you? Did you start from traditional art pieces to transition into digital art pieces?
I started from traditional sense. I normally buying paint, buying the canvas and having to paint all that. But due to the cost of paint and everything just skyrocketing, I had to find like an easier way to get my ideas out with the same quality and quantity. And then I think digital art was more of a thing where I had to learn it because back then I was into murals, painting of jackets, painting of clothes. And then when I found digital art, it was my escape into just being chilled and just doing things for myself. And I had a whole lot of curiosity in like learning how to manipulate that digital element. But then I realized that digital art had a whole lot of advantages from just being able to wake up in the morning and just open my Procreate and pick whatever I want to pick, till using AI or using motion design, that kind of thing. So it became an easier world for me in a sense. Yeah.
Okay, you said you started with traditional art pieces, murals. Did you learn that from school or a particular person that was giving out lessons, or you just learned on the internet on it by yourself?
Self-taught, autodidact, self-learning. YouTube is my university, all that whole thing. And it was really, really nice to learn from YouTube. And there's just a whole lot of things that you can learn from there. And I had to go for exhibitions, meet like fellow artists, people who were in the game already, people who wanted to be in the game, and just breathe all that in to create my own perspective of what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you feel about the artist community, or let's say the digital artist community? Because you just mentioned about meeting some people. How was it like?
The art community was so thriving. It's still thriving up till now. It's more than thriving. You have artists doing things all around the world. You have artists doing things for different brands, companies, collaborating with different things. And people really want to hear the Nigerian perspective. And that's why, as much as possible, the art community has started to evolve. It has started to have different subsects, from people who are deep into sculpture, people who are deep into traditional works, digital art, bead making, all those kind of different ways. And the art community, in a sense, it helped me grow my understanding of art. It helped me find my own meaning. So back then I used to go for like art exhibition, and then when you go to an art exhibition, you meet up your friends who are artists, and it's like, it's so nice, like, So from then on, I don't think anything that I do is just from me, myself. It's also there's also a community of people that are backing me. Sometimes I might not even have like the time to do those work, and I just go call somebody and be like, okay, I have this, could you help me do this? Is it that they say, okay, do you want to pay me this? Or they just say, don't worry, it's you, Kiel, I'll help you do it for free. So that is what you have when you know that you're not the only one in this game. Like, you have a full community backing you. So that's what the art like community has done for me. And also like evolution of style, meaning, and sometimes we just get to just talk about like just random things, but to be on the same level, as to have conversations with people that are on the same wavelength as you in your mind, is very, very, it's the best thing. It literally clears your art blocks.
Yeah, everything becomes relatable.
Yeah, when I would have art blocks, I would go to Drake's studio, and I would just sit down there just to bask in that whole thing. We might not be talking about anything artistic, but he's just working, and all of a sudden I find my iPad and I'm just working already. So it's like that. You just nothing grows on itself. Everything you would need some roots, some form of a pedestal for you to actually grow. So that was the art community for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your style of artworks when it comes to digital pieces?
I don't think I have a style. At first, when I started, I really wanted to be an Afro-pop futurist. I wanted to be like an Afro-futurist, being able to envision what Africa is right now and retell a story of what it could be. But then I started realizing that it's such a box. And with the new skills I started learning in different mediums, I think I just wanted to just develop a no style attempt. But every time when I do something, people are able to know that that's a skill. So I think an art style comes in it. You can't even see it. It's most of the times it just comes and then it has people know that okay, this is your brand. The same way that somebody like maybe let's say Ayofe can do something, the same way someone like Niyi, Kosi, Tife, Bidemi, Duro, they can do things and people will know that this is this person. It's like a language that you speak, it's a visual language. So my art style is very, I would say very sometimes cartoonish, sometimes very colorful. But one thing I pride myself that I know that I can really do well is that I can use all color schemes in a painting and not make it look overcrowded. So for me, it's all about the colors, it's all about the composition, it's all about the new creative thing I'm able to bring into that painting. So for me, it's I don't think about an art style as something that is definite. It's something that's always evolving. Yeah.
Yes. Where do you draw your inspirations from?
Well, the internet. There's a whole lot of inspirations on the internet. There's a whole lot of inspirations in Lagos. There's a whole lot of inspirations in your life. A lot of times I'll be trying to just get things out of my head that I've had in my head for a whole year. You can imagine having a painting in your head for a whole year and just thinking about it that man, one day I'll do this painting. And then the day you decide to actually do it, you spend like a month doing it. And then when you see it, it becomes the most beautiful thing ever. I had a painting like that. The name of the painting was inside the box, and I took a month just to make sure that that painting came out better than the way I imagined it. And when I saw it, that painting, I'm still proud of it up to today. So that's what it is. Just going just going as hard as you can, using whatever skill you've learned before, just to make sure you get like something new that you haven't seen before.
Okay. Being an artist that has explored both worlds of art, which is, the traditional way of things and the digital way of things, what do you I want you to tell us your opinion about, some art critics who have been saying that the authenticity of artworks comes out more from traditional art pieces rather than digital art pieces, because when it comes to digital art pieces, you can, like, if you make a mistake, you can erase and make it more perfect. But when it comes to traditional art pieces, you can't really erase your mistakes. You can basically most of the time cover them up, with something else, something that's more spontaneous.
So back then when I used to paint like jean jackets, when I made a mistake, I would find a way to make the mistake part of the painting. When I went into murals, it was something like that, but murals I had to use a whole lot of white coating. When I went into canvases, if you made a mistake, you would have to use a coating and coat over it, or let's say you have an idea that can. But for digital art, when you make a mistake, it's just as easy as tapping your iPad and then going back to you understand? So we are not going to say that something is not authentic because it's harder. Authenticity comes from the person itself, the person who created that particular piece. Intention, that's where authenticity comes from. And I mean, I don't think even when I did NFTs, when I did AI, like for me, authenticity comes from intention. That's all. And when I hear people say that, oh, well, it's digital art is a lot more easier. I give them my iPad is always, I'm like, why don't you draw a piece right now? And then they find it so hard because we can all say these things with mouth, but having to do these things like practically, that's where everything changes. It's every medium is hard, from sculpture to dance, to bead making, to murals, to canvas painting, to AI, to digital art, to Procreate, to motion design. They are all hard. I've not seen anyone that I just took up one day and I started just learning. Even muraling, I painted murals and I learned. So authenticity comes from intention. Yeah.
But AI though, AI.
Yeah.
AI, I'm not too crazy about AI because like the work, like I'd like to say maybe 60 to 70% of the work is done for you. All you just have to do is like impute your thoughts or your creativity to the AI, and it just makes pieces from what you've imputed. So I just feel like it's easier when you use AI. There's not a lot of like creativity when it comes to using AI for artworks.
There is. I'm doing AI right now, and Every time I have to do AI, I have to come up with a new system of how to work.
Okay.
There's so many. AI, it's not even about like how easy it is, it's the amount of possibilities that exist.
That's from that perspective.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of possibilities that exist in AI, and it's always so nice to know. We live in a system or in a time like this where technology is growing really fast, really rapidly than we can actually exist, that we can actually think. Our phones right now are mini computers where we can just sit down and work on them. And having to say that, okay, we'll reach this time in technology where we're just still drawing with pencils and biro, where people are doing sculptures with glass, ice. People are doing sculptures with cars. People are doing different things. People are putting art in the moon and shit like that. So it would be such a dampening thing to say that, okay, we're not going to grow in the visual art sector, in the art sector. And AI has basically influenced a whole lot of sectors, from the job market, from the normal like science job market to the normal like every day of doing things. So for me, like when people say that, oh, it's easy, I mostly give them the Discord. I'm like, why don't you try some things? Because it's never that easy. And with AI, I had to spend 3 to 5 months learning it. Not like learning it like, oh, I had to drag. Every day I woke up, I went to bed by 3 or 4 just to make sure that there's just so much that you need to learn. And with AI, it's not even about like the AI does it. It's more like it makes the work more seamless for you. Most of the times when I'd have to draw my Procreate, it would take me, let's say, to take me amount of days and weeks just to make sure that I come up with those things. I would have to search through a whole lot of references online just to come up with what I'm trying to draw. If I'm trying to put a mural now, I would have to search for brushes. I would have to search for paint, liquid paint. I would have to search for different things. So, but with AI, it reduces the workload of artists, and that was the thing that I used to really talk to. Especially, I used to talk to my mom. I used to tell her like, I don't think we can be doing this till we are 30 or 40, if they're not really properly paying you for these things. But now I'm able to like fully envision my ideas from a sketch, or I can fully conceptualize whatever I have in my head and show like, okay, this is what I'm trying to create. So for me, AI gives me the raw material, it gives me the finished product, it gives me anything in between. So it lets me. Imagination is very hard. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody. If I tell you to imagine a tortoise in a suit, wearing a slippers, and driving a Hummer, you would before you put that in your mind together and tell me you're done. But if I told the AI, it will help me do that. So the same way we have the internet now, the same way we have that public library where you can go search up anything. You have ChatGPT, for example. You can be able to tell ChatGPT, oh, write this code for me. ChatGPT would soon turn multimodal, where you can talk to it, you can send it pictures, and it can decode what it means.
I think they've already done that.
Yeah, no, it's coming in the next 2 weeks. Okay. It's not here for Nigerian users yet. But these are things that are making our life easier. So are we going to say that we're not going to take them because of the fact that it's AI? A whole lot of talks about AI in the early sector was based on the fact that the movies that they dropped back then, from the Terminators to was just fear-mongering. Was always just fear-mongering. It's not even AI right now, it's more of machine learning. And for us humans, it's so hard for us to think that another entity that is not human or is non-human can learn. But it's possible. Like, people have generated, it didn't even start now. It started all the way back from like 90s, in 1967, in 90, they have generated languages and code. Like, people generate Python, they generate CSS. These are codes that were meant for computers. So I'm going to be in this new dispensation now, and I'm going to tell you, like, this is always what I've dreamt of, even when I was in secondary school. Like, a way where we could do works faster, where we can bring out our ideas without not really having the skill to do them. Okay, for example, now, if I want to do a photo manipulation of something, I would have to go understand what photo manipulation is, learn it. But with AI now, the curve of knowledge decreases, where you just need to know like the basic thing, and then you know that most of the times right now I'm learning quantum computing with my AI. Wow. So it breaks down, I can tell it like, okay, create the schematics of work, or create the scheme of work that I can use to learn like the basis of quantum computing, and maybe break it down to me like I'm 5.
Okay, wait, so it's safe to say you do a whole lot of research. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's safe to say you do a whole lot of research before.
I've been doing a whole lot of research for the past 7 years. It's not only art that I do a whole lot of research into other things, because I feel like as artists, we are supposed to know a whole lot of things apart from art. How are we going to properly contextualize life if we don't really know what we are talking about? So most of the times, I'm apart from my skill of knowing how to be an artist, I know how to properly research things and find that knowledge. Yeah, so that's me.
Okay, so do you come across any obstacle? Because I feel like for someone who makes a lot of research, I mean, it's going to be hard for you to come across any obstacles or like blocks, like on what to create.
Oh, no, that's the point. I don't have any blocks. I used to have blocks before, but now I don't really have. Now most of the blocks I have is the possibilities. You can be so hampered down by the possibilities of just creating when it comes to AI. Not even AI. Like before, I used to get art blocks where like all of a sudden I'm just there. I'm like my mind is not really, it's not really in that place. But then I think art blocks comes with, you need to have enough knowledge of whatever you're doing. You need to take a whole lot of rest and all that kind of peak. But it's nowadays I don't really get art blocks. I feel like as if my ideas are just lined up for me. So let's say in a whole year now, throughout this year, I haven't had like any break. If there's a break I would have, it's probably like a week where I'm not just doing anything. But after that, immediately the next week comes up, I'm back in game mode again. So for me, like there's just this consistency and the continuation of ideas. And when you have things like AI, digital art, when you've understand like different mediums, like I've been into streetwear, I've been into apparel design, I've been into AR, I've been into Web3. What I'm able to do is that I'm able to confluence each medium, especially like when you're starting to speak with clients. So I'm able to confluence each medium to be able to learn how to monetize each of them. So for me, it's just the medium. People see it as, oh, it's going to take away this, it's going to take away this. I'm like, no, it's not really going to take away any of those things. I mean, it can take away our jobs because of the fact that there are some things that we're supposed to be doing right now that's really supposed to be automated. Like a lot of jobs that we have right now are just, they're not evolving us as human beings. Imagine back in the times of like the 1852, there are people they used to call them door knockers, window knockers. So because of the fact that there was no clock, so nobody knew what the time was, there were people that would come to your window to come and knock. But when they invented the clock, like when they invented the wall clock, that changed everything. Someone's job had to go. So it's always like that through the invention of new technology. New technology does away with like old forms of doing things. And for me, I always told myself that I was always going to be there at any new technology, whether it's spatial computing, AR, VR, Web3, mixed reality. I will be there, like understanding it. And I've just always just gone for the forefront. Yeah.
You know, if you weren't a digital artist, what would you be doing? If you weren't doing anything that had to do with art in any way? Maybe like another profession or
I had a very, very great loving for architecture because I was able to really, really visualize lines and buildings and just shape it in my mind the way I wanted to. But going to university, you realize that architecture is just more than just drawing. It's math, it's understanding, it's tedious work. So that's when I switched into art. If I wasn't doing anything apart from art or something art related, what would I be doing? Nothing. Art was the superpower that I had from 9, 12. Is what I told my parents.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, art was what I told my parents that I needed to, I know how to do. And they were like, no, you can't do architecture. I'm like, I don't know how to do architecture. I don't know how to do science. They said, no, you can't do it. And I went into science. I repeated my first class. And then the next one I passed after that. I kept on passing after that. But after that, I think science brought about this curiosity of everything, to know how something works, to not like the basic, but like to know how it works in a deep manner. So, and most of the time, like I just find time when I'm not drawing, I'm learning. I like to learn when I'm not drawing because it lets you engage on conversations with people that you never know that you've never had. Like it's crazy. So I think for me, it has just always been art. That has been my superpower. Not even art, creativity. Being able to look at an idea or being able to hear an idea and properly shape it. And now with AI, I'm able to properly shape it. Not even just properly shape it, but to execute the ideas immediately. people like me, when growing up, we had things like ADHD. We're a little bit autistic, so we didn't really know how to really focus. But with new technologies now, I'm able to really, really focus on whatever I need to do and accomplish it with the given amount of time.
How did you, when NFTs was still booming like a thing in Nigeria, and there were a lot of like negativity around it, and some people still utilized it. Some artists saw it as an opportunity to grow and evolve. How was it for you back then when you first encountered NFTs?
I counted it in January in 2021. I remember telling my friend, like, I think we should enter into NFTs. I really think we should. After that was the first time people sold a piece for 69 million. I'd never forget that. We were on Folagoro Road in Yaba, and I was telling my friend, you know what, how about we enter this? But he was like, he wasn't really into it. Okay, I said, okay, cool. And then I think I found a random collector on Instagram reached out to me. By that time, I had already started doing some little digital work, and he reached out to me and he was like, I'd like to get you an iPad and get you on this road into like Web3 and NFTs. Back then, I didn't really understand what it was. But then I stopped having that collector, and then it forced me to really go into Web3 and really understand what it was from the beginning to end. And for me, NFT was when I really understood what it means to grow a brand. It was really when I understood what money really meant, when like cryptography, cryptocurrencies, understanding DAOs, understanding safe coins, understanding how to trade, understanding smart contracts.
I mean, this is where we relate, because Web3 is my thing also.
Thank you. So understanding smart contracts, the ERC 721, 1122, and understanding like where they are being used or how they can be utilized. And NFTs let me grow as a person because crypto money is good money. Crypto money is good money. When it hits your account, you know that yes, this is money. It doesn't. You can keep your money in safe coins, and you wake up the next morning and it's still going to be there in safe coins. And then it allowed me create value for myself with my art, and then it allowed me like sell that value to other people who knew that okay, this is a really creative young man, and this is a really creative young man, I would like to invest in his brand. And I think from there I was able to really work with like I collaborated with a whole lot of people from DAOs. DAOs are like decentralized autonomous organizations and shit. And collaborate with other artists all around the world. And it was really, really nice to get paid for that. So it let me understand how you grow value, how you attain value as an artist. And I think some 5 of my collectors got like I partnered with a skateboard company in Texas, and we ended up shipping like 5 to 10 skateboards all
like
around the world. Limited edition for the collectors who collected from my collection, Street Skulls anyway. It's still on OpenSea up to now. But the way we look at NFTs, we look at it as a money making scheme, and it's always like that. That's why I'm not really fussed about it. But I saw it firsthand, and I understood it. The potentials of NFTs and the blockchain is really, really, it's really something that is. It's really something that when you sit down, like I remember like being so hopped up about it that I would used to go to bed by 3, 4, because like I would be on spaces with people just talking about everything.
I feel like that was like really the painful part about NFTs, blockchain and crypto. When Nigerians hear about a new opportunity, they want to explore it to the fullest and possibly even bastardize it along the way. And I think the reason why that happened to NFTs in Nigeria was because people didn't really have the knowledge.
Yeah, at the same time too, NFTs is a global thing. Apart from that, NFTs is also related to cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is related to more. When I mean it's related to so much more, from the American government to the government in Salvador, on Salvador Island to South Africa to everywhere. So when the prices dropped, immediately the Ukraine and the Russia war started. At that particular price, it used to be at 453. It used to be at 4,000, 4K. That was it. That was what it was. So when it started dropping, people just started like, there was a whole lot of scare. People were scared in the market. People were just removing their ETH. If we found out that there was a whole lot of scams, and which is all right. in anything that is so new, there will be a whole lot of scams. I remember like at the beginning of the internet, there was something called Silk Road. There were a whole lot of scams at the beginning of the internet. There was something called Silk Road where people could buy anything that they wanted, children literally. And it became so bad and then they shut it down. So for me, I feel like as if the idea of NFTs and Web3, NFT is the non-fungible token, Web3 is the community,
It's the ecosystem.
is the ecosystem that it exists in. These ideas are fairly new, but they exist for a reason. The blockchains, blocks, and everything.
That's my problem, though. Nobody is willing to build. Everybody just wants to scam. Nobody is willing to build, and that's why it's looking like it's something that is not really of value to some people.
Yeah, well, the reason why it's a decentralized, it's decentralized, and most of the time, to be able to like regulate things in a decentralized environment is very hard because a lot of people are anonymous and everything in between. That's the reason why they created a decentralized environment. But I think one thing that would really help I think two things that would really help is we should really hold ourselves accountable, because one person in the ecosystem, the reason why blockchain exists is because you have an amount of blocks that hold the same amount of information throughout the whole blockchain. So imagine if we as human beings actually like understood this and actually implemented it in our lives. Instead of, okay, let's say somebody minted a project, instead of one person having like the whole 100,000 project, why don't you just have one? Do you understand?
You know what? I think we need to start a podcast on Web3.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll start a podcast on
We're
Web3.
already teaching you guys a lot. We are already, because I feel like this is a lot of information people don't really tap into, which is why even in the Web3 space, there's something we call do your own research, which is very, very, very important. And that is why a lot of people get scammed, because they don't do their research. They just want to tap into
I've never gotten scammed. I've never gotten hacked.
You're a research person.
Yeah, apart from being a research person, I've never gotten scammed. I've never gotten hacked. I've never scammed anybody. Anybody that buys my product, I would reach out to them. Hi, hello, okay, so how can, and then we get to talk about that, like have an awesome conversation. Most of my collectors who are abroad or in other countries, they're on my Instagram, they see my story every day. They tell me that, oh, you're really still pushing it. I'm like, I've always been an artist. All I have to do is just grow my brand. It's possible. These things are possible. If you look at people like Cause, Brian Donnelly, they have been able to, Greg Mike, they have been able to grow an art brand. And even when NFT was still booming, they came into NFTs and they made a whole lot of money, you understand? And they created their own brands, found their own people. Now that it's not earning the way it's supposed to be earning, everybody's like, oh, it's rubbish, it's this. I'm like, calm down. Most of the time, I don't even end up explaining. So what I just do is nowadays, I just try to, if people want to learn, I would tell them that, okay, cool, we can have a meeting and I could teach you a whole lot about things. So for me, even when NFTs was still in its stages, I'd always coach people and tell them like, okay, this is how we can do this is how we can do this is how you can do this is the wallet you're supposed to use to open it. It creates so much accessibility for people, and a whole lot of things that people saw about NFTs and Web3 was from an outside perspective. I was inside. When I mean I was inside, we were there when that whole meme of those men carrying, what did they call it, the coffin sold for like close to 500 ETH. 500 ETH, when it was about 4K, that's more than $2 million literally. And that money just went to them. And that was, it's iconic, it's still on the blockchain. So the ideas of NFTs and Web3, it's still in its early stages, and we should not just like put it off, because right now I can still access my collections, access all my things. It's just that the ecosystem needs to grow with the NFTs itself. By the time there's a next bull market, now I would want to see a place where the value meets the price. If somebody is charging you 0.1 for something, it comes with something valuable, something that you can see, something that you can touch, something you can feel. So it's basically moving from NFTs, Web3, and coming into tangible, making it more larger than life. That's how you grow a brand.
Basically, real life use cases.
You understand? Like, imagine if I have a streetwear now, I can mint that, I can mint the art piece for the streetwear, and anybody that has tokens of that particular project I minted gets into the streetwear, you know, that kind of thing. You can create your brand. There are people still making money out of NFTs and Web3 even today. We don't need to shout it again, because now it's just about creating that value that needs to be created. But yeah.
I think there was someone that said something about the originality of an idea will always find its place amongst the fakes. So all this, being scammed and
there's a whole lot
bought,
of fake things in NFTs.
and all these things, but I still feel like the original idea will still find its place.
Yes, it's just because of like a whole lot of when people hear money, they want to run into something without prior knowledge. I don't know how to do forex, but if I hear that there's a way that you can be able to be able to partner forex with your art, I would say, okay, why not? Let me go learn. And that was the reason why I went into NFTs and Web3 because it allowed it allowed my work to be on a place where you can see that it was me that did it. Like it's not just like every time I just finish it painting and then I'll just post it on Instagram or Twitter. It allowed me to mint my work on a blockchain, on an immutable blockchain where anybody could see it. And that was really, really nice for me. Yeah.
That's cool. I'm loving the conversation. Have you ever engaged yourself in any collaborative projects?
Yes, a whole lot of collaboration is why I exist. And even from just normal clientele or company projects or collaborations, because when companies or clients are coming to meet up with you, they know you're a brand the same way they are a brand. They know that you would want to represent yourself the same way they would want to properly represent themselves.
Okay.
At sometimes that's just the paid one, but out of my own free time, I like to talk to some other artists in the community and reach out to them and be like, oh, I like your style. Can we do a collaboration? And most of the reasons why I do those things is because I'd like to see how my art style intersects with other people's art style. It's basically growth for me. If someone says, okay, yes, this is my art style, I'm into photography, okay, send me some pictures, let me see how I can like turn them into something that we can really mint, or let's say how we can turn them into something that people can really like. But let me just fuck them up, you understand? Or literally, and then the artist ends up sending you something, or sometimes you can just be talking with another person and you're like, yo, you know what, let's do a collab. And I'm like, word, for real? Okay, how much do we have to do this? How much do we have to do that? And most of the time it's from collaborations where like companies or like people that would want you to work for them see you and be like, I like this artist and I want them. I remember working on a collaboration with Shutterbug, and then we got featured by Instagram on a project. I remember working with Fred. I remember working with Kosi Okafor. I remember working with Aria. I remember working with Adeze Okara. I remember working with Adewale Mayowa. I remember working with, this is just normal artists apart from normal brands. I've worked with Cheaper. I worked with Uber. I worked with Bolt on different forms of projects. So for me, collaborations is the reason why I exist. Being able to show off and show out the amount of skill and talent you have for your career and be able to like use it to retell somebody else's story, if not someone else's story, using your style, mixing your style with someone else's style and seeing the new magic that comes out from it. So in a year, I find time to do collaboration in between companies and artists. So it's all about being balanced when it comes to collaborations.
Okay, so as a digital artist, how do you deal with copyright infringement?
Well, it depends. It depends on what it's being copied and how it's being infringed. Honestly, sometimes I do think that copyright infringement, it hampers creativity in a sense. It hampers creativity, and I'm saying this from some things I've actually learned in art and technology itself. But for me, I don't think I've really dealt with anybody copying my work. Well, most of the time, when somebody copies my work, I'm even happy. Because to see that that person went through all that trouble to copy my work, but I've never really seen it because I know that my work is really, really, it's time consuming. So for someone to copy it, I would really clap. So it depends. If I'm being copied by a company, then we would have to talk about like, I would really have to tell them like, okay, this is my work and you use my work without me knowing. So how do we get a form of compensation from that? But most of the times, I think I've been copied so long. I've been doing work since 2017. So copying or someone being copied me or copying me is not a thing that I take as serious as the way I used to take it back then before. Back then, if somebody copied me, I'm like, yo, why did you copy me? But now I'm just like, I'm glad you actually did copy me. So that means they actually liked your work enough to copy you. If it's for companies, you people can come with like with an agreement of how you can move or how you can like how they can if let's say that thing goes on sale, people can come into an agreement on all those things that happen. But I think that's the reason why I really mint my works, and at the same time that's the reason why my work has like a particular style. So anywhere that my work is being copied, anywhere on the internet, somebody can just see 2 minutes and be like, Kiel, is this not your work? And I'm like, oh, that's my work. So it depends on what action I decide to take. But at the same time, nowadays, I don't really cry too much about being copied, because I think one thing I wanted to do at the beginning of when I started digital art was to make my work so me that it would be hard for someone else to copy. And then I did it. Because when I look through my styles, or when I look through my digital paintings, I look at it and I'm like, nobody can copy this. Because for you to copy this, you would need to understand how to use a whole lot of things and to make that painting coherent, at the same time copying me. So I don't really bother about infringement or being copied.
Okay, so basically it's safe to say that from another perspective, it's an honor that people are actually copying you.
You know what it means when somebody sees your work and thinks that you're the
cool.
you're the person that they need to copy in this life.
Wow.
Do you understand? So when I see and it's for artists, if somebody copies your work, like as much as possible, that is probably like the best compliment you would ever receive in your life. Don't make a fuss, don't be making a fuss of it and be like, oh yeah, you copied my work, so you no, calm down, take a chill pill. Sometimes your work might be just too easy to copy and you would have to level up your work. Like, forget all those things that, oh, it's my style. It is not your style. It is really not, no style is your style. You can evolve your style. And for me, I think that's what I did. Make a style that cannot really be copied. Like with the intensity of colors that I use, with the understanding of luminance, luminance that I use, with my understanding of bloom, understanding of different textures, compositions, lighting. You cannot, for them to copy you, if they did copy you, I would be so happy. Like if they did copy me, I'd be like, wow, you actually took your time. Yeah, because it's time. Art is time. So to be copied is a good thing.
Nice. So how do you, after the whole process that you go through making your artworks, how do you place a price on your artworks? Or when you're about to mint them, how do you place a price on them?
I feel like as if no one would ever pay you what you deserve, or no one will ever pay you what your artworks deserve. Like, I'm not going to lie. And sometimes it depends. Okay, let's say someone comes to meet me, that's a commission. If I'm selling my work online, that's me selling my work online as a freelancer. So it depends on how I want to cost my work and for the thing to be sold. It also depends on the platforms that you're trying to put those work out. You cannot cost the amount that you're selling prints for the amount, same amount that you're going to mint that NFT for. If you put something on imprinter, let's say for $50, you can't put that same work on foundation for $50. You would have to put it more than that. So I think pricing your work is a strategy that you would have to learn on your own self. But when it comes to clients, you would need to know whether you're giving them a value-based work, where it's a thing where it's like, okay, how much was coming into your company before I decided to design on this thing? Then you would need to know whether it's an hourly thing or whether it's a thing where like you'd have to come to like some form of egregious arrangement, whether it's hourly, weekly, or something like that. But one thing I like to do, like I said, is always go on YouTube and find out things. There are people who will teach you how to properly like cost your work. If from murals, like I remember when I started murals back then, they would tell me that, okay, that you cost your work per square space. But in Nigeria, it does not work. You can't cost your work per square space in Nigeria. There's a whole lot of things that does not work in Nigeria.
The whole thing is...
Yes, so you would have to find a way to cost your work, especially for the Nigerian mentality. That is another thing. If you're creating art in Nigeria, you'd have to learn how they think and tackle it at the same time. Because if I'm doing work for 1 million, I'm not going to go and tell the client, if the amount to do the work is 1 million, I'm not going to go and tell the client 1 million, because then they're going to beat you down. That altruistic price that you're going to give them, it's not going to happen. You could tell them 2 million, and then they probably beat it out to 1.5, and then you're like, good, I'm good for 1.7. So it depends on how you want to really, you'd have to learn. So take the information that you understand from outside, look at your environment around you, look at where you're placing that work on, and then act appropriately. But most of the times, it will take you a while before you start learning how to properly put a price tag on your work.
Yeah. Right, cool. What message would you like your art pieces or your artworks to be conveyed to people, like your audiences, your fans, people who love digital art? When they see your artwork, what kind of message you feel they should pick from seeing your artwork?
I think I want them to really see me for what I am, everything that I am, because art is, if somebody spent 5 days doing one thing, you better know they love it. If they spend 10 days doing it, just know it's an obsession. More than that, 30 days, 2 months, it's a very, very clear obsession that they can talk about for years. And for me, each art piece comes with a feeling. I can always remember how I did it, what particular state I was in, and why I did it. So I want them to see me for all that I am, for all my creativity, for all the things that I have learned over the years, and feel inspired to actually like start their own journey. Like I said, like if you give me a pen and a paper now, I can sketch. I don't know how to sketch. But if you give me an iPad now, tell me like make a digital painting that you can see and you can feel something, I will do it. So for me, it's just to remove that barrier of learning in your head where you feel like you can't learn something. Like some people will tell me that, Kiel, you actually learn from YouTube. That's a superpower. And I'm like, no, I just watched the video more than once. Like I sat down, watched the video first time, I didn't get it. I said, okay, cool. I went to bed, I woke up again, I watched the same video. And then even with watching the same video, I downloaded the transcript, read the transcript. So it's to have that focus in whatever you're doing, to make sure that when you're telling your story, you're telling it properly, you're telling it as yourself.
I can relate, because when I wanted to start learning how to trade crypto back then, I realized that I had to, like, when I watched like a couple videos, I realized that I had to like watch more videos. I had to like go back and watch it again before I could understand, because I'm like, okay, I must have missed a few things. And even when I still missed those things, I still went back again, because I was like, this thing has to stick, because even learning how to trade itself is like pretty hard.
It has
It's
to
hard.
stick.
It's really, really hard. It has to stick. So it's safe to say I have like 2 to 3 years of theoretical knowledge, but I have more knowledge than putting it into place, like practicalizing
I
it.
have more of a realistic, when it comes to NFT Web3, I have more of a realistic knowledge. The only theoretical knowledge I had to go gain from YouTube was how to do my OpenSea, mint my contract, the difference between those different contracts and everything. But for me, when NFTs and Web3 first started, the whole lot of things on YouTube were not really right, because of the fact that when YouTube sees people that want to make money off of streams, they don't really get to talk about this topic in depth. They just talk about it surface level, and then then they're like, oh, how to make money off of crypto. Then they have that face like, and then you click on it, and then you're literally a viewer of it and everything. So I had to go into the community itself and not even learn from anybody, but learn from all those spaces. Like that was the time Twitter Spaces really, really started. And you would be in Twitter Spaces with some really, really amazing people from all around the world, and you wouldn't even know. And that let me really connect with those people and ask questions when I needed to ask questions. I was like, I have people on my line now that I said that, okay, if anything goes wrong, I can always ask them that, okay, what is happening in this? Even people that I just call and they could just tell me, like, you could just give me a summary of what is happening in Web3 for the last 4 months and 5 months. But yeah, Web3 is in the bear market, but don't worry, it'll still catch up.
Definitely, it's here to stay.
Yeah.
It's definitely here to stay. Okay, so one final question before we get into our next session, which is where do you see your artistic journey in 5 years, 5 to 10 years?
Well, the same place. I don't really think about it in a sense, because like I don't like to create a pathway, and you create such a journey, and then all of a sudden something comes, and then you realize that, wow, you didn't really want to be doing this, you want to do something else. Like I said, it's not even art on my own. It's more of like my superpower is creativity. So something can come in the next 2 years now. Like right now, I'm working on an AI film, and all of a sudden now, maybe next tomorrow, I might be a filmmaker. You never know, things like that. And all of a sudden, I was in digital art, now I'm a filmmaker. For me, like, my journey comes with evolution, experimentation, and like having that willingness to grow. So for me, I think in the next 5 years, I would want to see myself like, all these things that I'm doing now, I would want it to be scaled to like maybe like times 5 years, times 5. And I'm doing that every day, making sure that this brand, Kiel Orji, becomes that household brand that people will know it for art, everything in between. You understand? Having to work with like advertisement companies, having to work with different, that's what I do. I like working with different subsects because it lets me express my ideas. Yeah.
Please, how can I tap into that? I
How,
need to tap into it, please.
how you can tap into that is just, I think you need to be inspired first. Inspiration is the fire that lights everything. And most of the times it's YouTube. I'm always on YouTube. Just I've seen a whole lot of artists.
YouTube ambassador, everybody. YouTube, you need to do
I'm a
something
YouTube
about him
ambassador.
now, please.
I've been doing YouTube since 2016, 2017. I'm always on Pinterest because
Yeah.
Pinterest has a whole lot of visual references that are really, really so exciting. At the same time, I'm always on social media too. Social media is a place where you can meet a lot of people. I'm on LinkedIn too. LinkedIn is a place where you can get jobs and everything. So everything that I'm doing right now will be scaled more like in 5 years. And I'd like to travel out and like meet a whole lot of international people because I feel like as if this is just in its where it has always been in Lagos, Nigeria. Everybody has seen me. And I know like once I gain some new information, once I gain some once I get some new information, I know like everything about me will change. My style, my system of work and everything. So for me, in the next 5 years, and maybe the next year is to travel out and gain whatever experience I need to gain, bring it back here, and then inspire and then grow, scale. All the ideas I have from streetwear to Web3 to AR to VR. By next year, Apple is launching their what do they call it? That would change how spatial computing works. Things like that. People would be able to create worlds and envision worlds where they can be in. And then maybe in the next thing, you're not supposed to be thinking about now, you're supposed to be thinking about where would the technology like this be in the next 10 years? So that's what I always think. And then with art, which is basically that channel of my creativity, with art, then it just goes wild. There's so much things that you can't do. Like there's so many people that are hitting you up. Okay, can you create this? Yes.
Next session, we'll be having a this or that. So as I'm giving you the questions, you have to throw them to me without thinking twice. In fact, you have 2 seconds to answer your questions. No thinking about them and no changing of answers. So let's go. Owe money or owe a favor?
Owe a favor.
Love or riches?
Love.
Basketball or football? I wanted to ask you there
Football.
once. It's fine. I like your answer. Burna Boy or Whiskey?
Burner.
Thames or Silver Savage?
Thames.
Juice or alcohol?
Juice.
TV series or movies?
TV series.
Own a house or travel the world?
Travel the world.
Be bored or be busy?
Be bored.
Rice or spaghetti?
Rice.
Live music or DJ?
Live music.
Amala or Eba?
Amala. About done me strong thing.
all right. Okay. Money or reputation? That's a hard one. You passed your 2 seconds. Money. Sci-fi or drama?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi. Okay. Mac or Windows?
Mac.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
all right, but before we leave, we would like you to give the emerging artist or digital artist advice.
Okay, so advice. I think curiosity was like the biggest learning curve for me. Like I've always been curious about everything, and meaning that I had to be curious and find those things out, whether it was from books, novels. Before art, I used to be a writer. I used to write like short stories. Before short stories, I used to rap. I could still spit a 16 if I want to.
Wow.
Before writing, I could sing. So it feels like as if I have a really amazing voice.
He's multi-talented, everybody.
Multi-talented, I guess. So like, if art didn't work for me, other things would have worked for me. But at the same time, I had to have this sheer curiosity to just find out things for myself. And I was blessed to have to be in the time of the internet where when people were on Twitter and this thing, I'm on Listverse, I'm on Wikipedia, I'm
everywhere.
You understand? I'm on places where I could read and find information about things. And I always wanted to, I dropped out of university. So I never wanted to. I always wanted to feel like as if I had the knowledge for everything. So I just kept on learning. So for me, that curiosity was one. Then open-mindedness. I
That's
think
crazy though. You seem like you have like you bagged like 4 or 5 degrees.
no, if I was in a place, if I was in a good country where like the education was really mattered, I would have bagged like 4 or 5 degrees and just kept it going. But in a place like this where you know that you have to make money real quick or less, like you're going to be suffering. So immediately, I think in ND3, I dropped out, and after the whole exam, I just dropped out. I was like, let me go find my levels, and I took a job at an estate firm, and I quit between 2 weeks because it was so hard. And then from there, I just told myself that I had to manifest something, and that's when I manifested art. I started painting on something like this. I started painting on it, and then I painted it in for like 2 weeks during the exam. After that, I called my friends up. We had a shoot, and from there, that's where I started my journey. So curiosity, open-mindedness. I don't know what the last one is, but I think the last one is just confidence. Yes, confidence. I never really used to have the confidence like that. I started my own personal brand in 2021. Before that, I didn't even want anybody to know that I was an artist. It's not because I wasn't good, it's because I was too good and I didn't want anybody to conflict and be like, I didn't want to get into the limelight and have like all that whole positivity, negativity. I just wanted to do art. But then I started to understand that without confidence means owning your talk, owning your brand, owning everything in between. And then I just went into it. So you would have to grow your confidence, and it's not something that you just wake up every day. Like I know some artists that have more confidence than skill, that have more confidence than the talent that they. You understand? You don't. It's not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to grow your confidence at the same time, grow your talent and creativity at the same level. I like growing all around. I don't like growing like, okay, one place is there and one place is no. It's not supposed to be like that. So curiosity, open-mindedness, and that confidence to say that I am the one that did this piece, to stand by your piece and know like, yeah. So I think that's like that's my thing for emerging artists. Don't, especially that curiosity, especially that how curiosity and open-mindedness work hand to hand to hand. You can't be curious and be shallow-minded. You have to be curious and like know that, okay, your journey can change at any time. Your journey can change at any time with the new information you learn. You're the only one fighting for yourself as a freelance digital artist that people would have to come and meet. And I know that it's just me in my room, and it's only how good my ideas are. Those are the reasons why people would come and meet me and be like, can you do this for me? And they are willing to pay. Because what I do is not a want. It's not a need, it's a want. It's not something that people need to survive. It's a want that if it entices them enough, they are willing to pay that amount of money. So yeah, those 3 things: curiosity, open-mindedness, and confidence. And as much as possible, don't be too hard on yourself. Perfectionism is a lie. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is original. Everything is profound. Understand that you can never create anything original. Everything is profound. One idea that you're thinking about right now, somebody in Malaysia is probably thinking about it and working on the idea. You're not new. So calm down a little bit from your pedestal and be a profounder. Find out things, make them yours. Like learn how other people did art. And like I said, YouTube, best guy. But yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. I think it was one of the most insightful conversations that I've had on the show, and I really loved it. So thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and comment. Thank you guys. See you next time.